Phase 2 of the Indian election is done. More than 61% voters turned up across India. The best was West Bengal with a 75% turnout. The lowest Jammu and Kashmir with 43%. Voting was largely free of violence except for stray incidents. West Bengal, Manipur and Chhattisgarh. Left candidate Mohammad Salim's car was attacked. Shoe hurled at BJP leader GVL Narasimha Rao at the party headquarters today. He was defending the candidature of Sadhvi Pragya Thakur, acquitted in the Malegaon blast case. It was Sonia Gandhi during phase 1. Today it's Akhilesh Yadav. The Samajwadi Party chief files his nomination from Azamgarh. The constituency goes to polls on 12th May in the 6th phase. And chairman of Reliance Industries and India's richest man, Mukesh Ambani, endorses Congress candidate for Mumbai South constituency. A video clip shows him saying Milind is the man for South Mumbai. The second phase of polling has come to an end. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of India Election Watch. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and this is the show that gives you all the clear, precise updates and unbiased analysis. We are bringing objectivity back to news, and we wrap up the election day in less than 30 minutes. Let's get started. 11 states, 1 union territory, 95 constituencies. That is the second phase of the 2019 election. Polling has ended in most parts of the country. In fact, this is the biggest phase in the election. Nearly 17% of the voting population was eligible to exercise their franchise. And here is all you need to know. Polling happened in a total of 12 states and union territories, 11 states, 1 union territory. 95 MPs have been picked today. We'll know the result on the 23rd of May. Nearly 16 crore voters were eligible. This includes nearly 8 crore men and a little more than 7.5 crore female voters. More than 11,000 transgenders were also eligible in this round. Nearly 2 lakh polling stations were set up and 1,611 candidates were in the fray. This is a critical phase. More than 50% of incumbents did not get tickets this time. Clearly, the parties had the anti-incumbency factor on their mind during ticket distribution. Will it help? Let's try and find some answers and some clues from the voter turnout. The total voter turnout stood at 61%. Maximum polling was reported from West Bengal, but that should not come as a surprise. In 2014, remember, West Bengal's total voter turnout was well over 80%, so that's the norm for the state. Other northeastern states of Assam and Manipur also recorded a high voter turnout. Otherwise, there was brisk polling in most parts of the country, except for Jammu and Kashmir, which usually records a low turnout of less than 50%, and that was the case this time as well. Let's take a look at the big shots who were in the fray this time around. We start with former Prime Minister H.D. Deve Gowda. He is contesting from Tumkur. That's a seat in Karnataka. That's where H.D. Deve Gowda is contesting from. The biggest USP of Mr. Deve Gowda is his strong supporter base in Karnataka. Next on our list is Hema Malini. She's fighting to retain her Mathura seat, and since her entry into politics, she has leveraged her strong fan base. Hema Malini has been elected to the parliament twice. But will she win a third time? We'll find out, as everyone else, on the 23rd of May. The next is star candidate Raj Babbar. He is contesting from Fatehpur Sikri. He is trying to win a seat in the lower house for the 4th time now. Union Minister Jitendra Singh is also in the fray. He is the face of the BJP in Jammu and Kashmir, and the BJP in fact gave him a ticket from the Udhampur constituency. That's the constituency he represents in the Lok Sabha right now as well. And finally, we have Farooq Abdullah fighting to retain his seat from Srinagar, also in Jammu and Kashmir, the former chief minister of that state. He has a grip on the pulse of Jammu and Kashmir. Sporadic violence was reported from some constituencies. The Naxals carried out an IED blast between 2 villages in Chhattisgarh. It happened this morning. A team of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, the ITBP, was carrying out an area domination exercise at the time. Thankfully, no one was hurt. In Jammu and Kashmir's Budgam, security forces became the target of stone pelters. It was an attempt to disrupt polling. Security forces retaliated with tear gas shells. There were reports of violence from different spots of West Bengal. Stones were thrown at the convoy of CPIM leader Mohammad Salim in Islampur. Mohammad Salim is contesting from Raiganj. He says that goons from the TMC, the ruling party of Mamata Banerjee, attacked him. Here in Delhi, the BJP headquarters witnessed some dramatic scenes. A shoe was hurled at GVL Narasimha Rao, party spokesperson, during a press conference. The attacker was overpowered quickly and detained. Rao, interestingly, says that the Congress is to blame for this. Every battle, every seat, every phase counts in an election, but some are more important than others. So let's tell you why the second phase is extremely crucial. First, because of the sheer scale. It is, as I said, the biggest. 95 seats up for grabs. The number should have been 97, but 2 elections have been cancelled. Vellore in Tamil Nadu and East Tripura. So we have 95 seats across 11 states and 1 union territory, that is Pondicherry. 17% of India's voters, more than 15.5 crore people, more than 1,600 candidates. That is the scale. Now to the themes. About 15% of these candidates have a criminal record. But that's not the most striking number about this phase. The remarkable thing is this: more than half the sitting MPs have not got a ticket, and that is across parties. Out of 97 constituencies, only 44 sitting MPs are being repeated. The fear shows. AIDMK has dropped 33 out of 37 sitting MPs. The BJP has fielded only 15 of its 28 MPs in this round. In other words, they've tried to beat anti-incumbency. How big a factor is it? Pretty big. Tamil Nadu is a perfect example, and talking about Tamil Nadu, that is our point number 2. Tamil Nadu could be the clincher in this phase. 38 out of 39 seats in Tamil Nadu and 1 in Pondicherry are voted today. As I said, polling in Vellore has been cancelled. It's an odd election for the state. For 52 years, Tamil Nadu saw high decibel Dravidian politics. Iconic leaders spearheading campaigns. Not anymore. This election was a foray into the unknown. DMK and AIDMK are the 2 major parties here. Both are contesting without their leaders for the first time. Karunanidhi for DMK, Jayalalitha for AIDMK. Both parties have forged strong alliances. There is heavy anti-incumbency, both against the central and the state governments. The UPA is set to gain. The last time they were routed by Jayalalitha. This time 18 assembly constituencies are also voting simultaneously. Now if the DMK, which is part of the UPA, an ally of the Congress, sweeps the assembly polls, there could be a change in government at the state level. The UPA has got its alliance arithmetic right. They have the DMK, the Congress, the left, the VCK and the MDMK, and they may be weakened by TTV Dinakaran's party and Kamal Haasan's party. The ND on the other side has the BJP and the AIADMK. Why is Tamil Nadu key? A, because of the big chunk of seats, 39 is a huge number. And B, because of the voting pattern. You either get all or nothing in the state. That is how Tamil Nadu votes. The NDA needs these seats. It's the only way they can make up for their loss, whatever their loss is, however big, in the Hindi heartland. The UPA needs it because it's desperate to make a comeback. 2 new faces are in the poll mix. Superstars turned politicians. It's Kamal Haasan's first election. He is not contesting, his party is, and they're hoping to get a significant percentage of votes. So vote share, if not seats this time. The second man is Rajnikant. He's also not in the fray, neither is his party. As usual, he flared up the tempo just to back out finally. Rajnikant now says that he will test electoral waters in 2022. All the best to him. So that's about Tamil Nadu. Now, point number 3 on why this phase is crucial. The eternal question in Indian politics is this: will the lotus bloom in the south? Their best chance, once again, is Karnataka. 14 out of 28 constituencies in the state voted today. Over the years, the BJP has done well in Karnataka. It was the first state they won in the south for a few weeks in 2007 and then again in 2008. B.S. Yediyurappa was chief minister. Now, Karnataka is the only state in which the BJP has pockets of influence, plus strong regional leaders. Yediyurappa himself is one. Sadanand Gowda is another. Late Anant Kumar was a powerful politician. The BJP has a robust electoral machine in the state. Their challenge is a strong alliance. It's a test of Delhi's reading of Bengaluru's political climate. On some seats, the central unit overrode the state unit to give tickets. We're talking about the BJP, and this has caused some rebellion in the party. Case in point is Bengaluru South. The BJP will be hoping to retain its bastions in Karnataka. The fourth important factor to note in this phase is farm distress. It's a major problem hurting rural India and the Indian economy. Perhaps the region that symbolizes the abject state of agriculture in Marathwada in Maharashtra. In the second phase, crucial seats like Beed, Latur, Solapur, Nanded, Osmanabad and Amrawat went for polls. These are regions which were the worst hit by the agri crisis. So can the NDA repeat their 2014 feat? They did spectacularly well the last time. The BJP Sena combined won 41 out of 48 seats in Maharashtra in 2014. They are still strong in urban parts, but the alliance is a rocky one. Shiv Sena and the BJP. And their chief opponents are the Congress and the NCP. Alliance partners, they're strong in rural Maharashtra. The vote in Marathwada will indicate the extent to which farm distress matters in electoral politics in India. The other highlight is the election in eastern states. Odisha and West Bengal, 5 Lok Sabha seats in Odisha have voted today, plus 35 assembly constituencies. Naveen Patnaik is chief minister. He still remains strong. Will Odisha voters choose one party in the state and another at the centre? That is the question. It's happened before in India, and that's one thing to watch out for. Then comes West Bengal. 3 constituencies voted today. As usual, there was violence. Yesterday, 10 people were arrested in Asansol. Police vehicles were set on fire. Today, left leader Mohammad Salim's car was attacked. In Darjeeling, police had to resort to the use of tear gas to prevent violence. This just follows the highly polarized and loud campaign. Mamata Banerjee and Prime Minister Modi are pulling no punches against each other. The TMC even brought in a Bangladeshi actor to campaign. That effort was stalled midway. The Home Ministry sent the actor packing. This election is a TMC versus BJP contest, which is significant because for very long, West Bengal was all about the left. It was a left bastion, and that's a thing of the past now. The left looks like a distant third contender this time. Mamata Banerjee will want to win most of the 42 seats on offer. If the overall verdict is fractured, and if Mamata has a sizable number of seats in Bengal, she could be the kingmaker. It's a different matter that she's aiming for the biggest prize. She wants the Prime Minister's chair. And finally, 8 constituencies in UP have voted today, some with high-profile candidates. It's a test of the Kairana model, as they call it. So a lot at stake for all the parties in phase 2. And joining us this evening from London, Dr. Carol Sparry, who's the Assistant Professor and Deputy Director of Asia Research Institute at the University of Nottingham. And from Bengaluru, Senior Journalist K.S. Dakshinamurthy. Good evening to both of you. Mr. Dakshinamurthy, let me start with you, sir. It's the biggest phase in this election, 95 seats, 17% of the voting population. Will this be the decider?
Well, yeah, in a sense, it's 95 seats is a huge chunk, and it is really spread across the country in very crucial areas. So it can be, one can even call it a representative sample, so to speak. So how India votes in this phase probably will largely determine how the rest of the elections will go. But then, of course, at the end of it, we can't really say much because the counting will happen simultaneously. But yes, the kind of tempo, the kind of issues, and the way the voting pattern has happened probably is an indicator of things to come in the next 5 phases.
Dr. Sparry, who according to you is running a better campaign?
Running a better campaign? Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think, for example, in the south, you mentioned Tamil Nadu being a new sort of challenge, and I think that's a really interesting one to watch because they're passing away of the 2 very big leaders. So it's really a test to see for the battleground of Tamil politics in particular. In terms of who's running the better campaign, I mean, considering the number of parties and the number of leaders that are involved in this particular phase, you mentioned NCP, INC, Congress, BJP, Shiv Sena, West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, and the combination there with the Congress and the left, but also the BJP. And Naveen Patnaik's party in Odisha as well. So there's so many different parties and leaders in the fray. I'd be reluctant to say who I think's winning in terms of capturing hearts and minds. But I think it's again, we've got a long way to go still. We've got another sort of 5 phases to go. So I think it would be a little bit premature to say who I think's winning. But the manifestos are out there, and some of the candidates have not yet been declared for some of the final phases. So I think we still have a long way to go to really make a concrete sort of statement on that.
Fair enough. You don't want to hedge your bets just yet. Mr. Dakshinamurthy, in 2014, Jayalalitha won 37 seats, and yet she had no say in government formation at the centre because the BJP did extremely well. This time it may not be the case. Who do you think is winning Tamil Nadu, considering the voting pattern that we just discussed? The state gives all the seats to one party or one combined.
Let's look at ADMK. It has been, there have been a lot of drawbacks which the party has faced. One is Jayalalitha died, and then the party is split. There has been a lot of internal dissensions. You have Dinakaran coming out as a separate faction. Plus, you have the issue of anti-incumbency. So, and then, there is also no clear-cut successor to Jayalalitha. So, this is as far as the ADMK is concerned. If you take the DMK has been far more organized. The party is still in good shape. Yes, there have been some problems between the brothers, RGV and MK Stalin. But that apart, the party has remained one. And then, since it's been out of power in the last 5 years at least, so it's got a lot of advantages. And I think it will definitely hope to use this opportunity. And I think from all the reports that I've come across in the last, say, about a couple of months or so, and even earlier, I think the DMK stands a very good chance. I mean, the DMK and its allies.
Right. Dr. Spari, if you followed what the BJP has been trying to do, every election we ask, will the lotus bloom in the south? Now, this time they worked very hard. They created a lot of buzz in Kerala with the Sabrimala protests. They tried something in Tamil Nadu as well. But their realistic hope still remains only Karnataka. Why is it that the BJP is still being seen as a distant third or fourth contender in Tamil Nadu, even at a time when the Dravidian parties are at their lowest?
Well, I think Tamil politics has always been known for a kind of really strong regional identity, a really strong kind of pushback against central interference in the state, but also, that kind of sense of central interference at least, but also a very particularly strong regional identity and a very proud history as well, a proud sort of ethno-linguistic history of identity. So I think in terms of trying to, ever since the 60s, but particularly since the 80s, these two main parties of the ADMK and the DMK have really been kind of really strong parties in this state, kind of going back and forth, governments going back and forth against each other. I mean, the other thing to note is that it's not too long away from the assembly elections as well. So I think I agree with the other guest on your show that suggested that essentially this will give whoever makes kind of a headway in this will give them some kind of encouragement for the next assembly elections. And I think the BJP is struggling in the south, partly because of the history and the strength of those two parties to really kind of hang on to sort of Tamil culture, Tamil identity, and appeal to those sentiments as well.
Mr. Dakshinamurthy, will this then be an election about the regional players? You have KCR in Telangana, YSR in Andhra, the Dravidian parties in Tamil Nadu, and the likes of Naveen Patnaik in Odisha. They are going to be the kingmakers.
These are, mark my words, these are going to be really, really big elections for the regional parties. And if the regional parties, get together, form a coalition with the help of either the BJP or the Congress, depending on what happens post May 23rd, I think it's going to open a new chapter in Indian politics. Yes, there have been coalitions in the past. The regional parties have been there for a very long time, but not with this kind of a spread, because the regional parties are seriously strong. For instance, in Telangana and in Andhra, there is just no space for the Congress or the BJP. I mean, it's amazing. And if you look at Tamil Nadu, one is looking at the BJP desperately trying to get a foothold. But then, the point here is, what is it that the BJP is offering Tamil Nadu, which is not being offered by either the ADMK or the DMK? So, there's nothing new that the BJP is really offering. So they are basically riding piggyback on the ADMK. You take Kerala. Kerala, you have the UDF and the LDF, and they are, in many ways, it's a kind of a regional battle that they fight. Yes, UDF is basically Congress-led, and then you have the LDF led by the CPM. But still there is a very insulating element in Kerala. So for the BJP to break into that again, it's not easy. They've tried it with Sabrimala, but we just have to wait and see whether it's worked.
Indeed, and as we've said in the past, Congress bashing doesn't work in a state where the Congress isn't a strong player. I want to come to Bengal, Dr. Spari, and Bengal is deeply divided. The campaign has been very high decibel, and it's become a Modi versus Mamata battle. The left has been relegated to the third spot. Do you see the BJP making significant gains here?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I'm wondering whether actually not necessarily significant gains in terms of seats, but whether it is actually going to, it's kind of trying to edge into West Bengal, trying to capture that. West Bengal has seen a lot of disruption over the last few years with the kind of decline of the left and the rise of Mamata Banerjee's party, the Trinamool. And what's interesting is, some of the sort of pushing back that Mamata Banerjee's been doing, and a lot of that pushing back has been directed towards the BJP. So in a sense, there is a sense that Mamata Banerjee has made this, in some senses, has made this about sort of trying to defend West Bengal against the kind of growth of the BJP. But of course, there is still the Congress left combine. I know that Mamata Banerjee didn't want to go into an alliance with the Congress in this election. So I think that will be an interesting one to watch. I would like to think that Mamata Banerjee will manage to kind of keep, even though there is this anti-incumbency factor, but of course, historically, West Bengal hasn't had as high anti-incumbency as a number of other states. Right, actually had a long-term left government in the state. So that was an interesting one to watch, to see how the BJP will do, particularly in terms of vote share, not necessarily in terms of seats, perhaps.
Right. Mr. Dakshinamurthy, this also seems to be a race for the Hindi vote, the Hindu vote rather. Both sides, you have Rahul Gandhi going to temples, Priyanka Gandhi going to temples, Amit Shah going to temples. At a time like this, the induction of Sadhvi Pragya Thakur, how will it impact this election, according to you?
It's just, there is already a deep polarization that we have seen. The fact that today we are talking of voters, in terms of Hindu voters and Muslim voters and all that. Of course, it's always been there. No denying it. But it has acquired a sharper edge in these elections. For instance, when Rahul Gandhi contested from Wayanad, the Prime Minister said that he was going there for the minority votes and, things like that. So in this context, so what is happening is that there is a sharpening of this dichotomy or the polarization in the as far as the religious setup is concerned. So Sadhvi Pragya is a controversial figure, and she was accused in all those blast cases and all that. But the point here is that her entering will be something like what happened when Yogi Adityanath was made the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, completely surprising everyone. So, in a sense, it caters to a certain hardline, rigid sections of, the pro-Hindutva elements in Indian society. So, it could further polarize the situation. That's how I see it.
Right. This is disruptive politics. Dr. Sparry, this is an election spread over a month in the hot Indian summer, and every day you have politicians of all hues making the same strong, shrill pitches. There is an element of voter fatigue as well, I believe. Do you think that the decisions that are taken now or henceforth will still impact voter behavior, or have people already made up their minds?
Another really good question. We saw early on in the campaign that there was a kind of, there was the appeal to national security with the Pulwama attack. And of course, it is going to be up to parties to keep pushing their sort of message and their agenda throughout the campaign. And of course, that takes funds, resources, energy, all kinds of issues. And of course, some states are, across 7 phases. But as we see in the next phase, from 23rd of April, there'll be a number of states that are pretty much done. So those parties and those candidates in those states won't necessarily need to kind of have the same sort of stamina to go the full way. But of course, they might still be campaigning for other candidates in other states as well. So I think there's still a long way to go. I think there's still issues that may come up. There's still some candidates that need to be declared as well. And there's also, who knows what can happen in the next sort of five phases or so.
I have to thank you there, Dr. Carol Sparry and Mr. Dakshinamurthy for a very engaging conversation. Your inputs were most insightful. Thanks very much for joining us here. And that'll be all on this show as well. We're leaving you with the best moments from the second phase of polling. Thanks for watching.